Good morning and welcome to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please have a seat and turn to page 2 in your stapled liturgy books, which may be found under your big square cushion. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me, sin born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers. For the lineage of teachers before them, I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattvas. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please turn to page 10 in the spiral-bound book, or it may be the reading that's simply on a single sheet of paper that was on your cushion. It's The Song of the Grass Roof Hermitage, page 10 or the single sheet of paper. Song of the Grass Roof Hermitage. I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. After eating, I relax and enjoy a nap. When it was completed, fresh weeds appeared. Now it's been lived in, covered by weeds. The person in the hut lives here calmly, not stuck to inside, outside, or in between. Places worldly people live, he doesn't live. Realms worldly people love, she doesn't love. Though the hut is small, it includes the entire world. In just this place, an old man illumines forms and their nature. A Mahayana bodhisattva trusts without doubt. The middling or lowly can't help wondering, will this hut perish or not? Perishable or not, the original master is present. Not dwelling south or north, east or west, firmly based on steadiness, it can't be surpassed. A shining window below the green pines, jade palaces or vermilion towers can't compare with it. Just sitting with head covered, all things are at rest. Thus, this mountain monk doesn't understand at all. Living here, she no longer works to get free. Who would proudly arrange seats, trying to entice guests? Turn around the light to shine within, then just return. The vast, inconceivable source can't be faced or turned away from. Meet the ancestral teachers. Be familiar with their instruction. Bind grasses to build a hut, and don't give up. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk innocent. Thousands of words, myriad interpretations are only to free you from obstruction. If you don't want to know the undying person in the hut, don't separate from this skin bag here and now. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Page 4. Immediately following the Heart Sutra, we'll turn to page 6. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty. and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness. Emptiness exactly form. Sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond delusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining Anyuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, which completes all supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate Gate Para, Gate Parasam, Gate Bodhisvaha, Gate Gate Para, Gate Parasam, Gate Bodhisvaha, Gate Gate Para, Gate Parasam, Gate Bodhisvaha. Enmei Juku Kanangyo Kanzeya Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bopo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Nen Jushin Ki Nen Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bopo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Nen Jushin Ki Nen Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bopo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen nen kanseam, nen nen jushin ki, nen furishin, absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time there is nothing but this. Absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time there is nothing but this. Absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here, this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time there is nothing but this. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds, and dedicated in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Debbie, Bernie, Paula, Lorelei, Greg, Julie, Sokai. May their ills be healed. And Janet Mendez at the time of their death. We also dedicate these merits to those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All honored ones, Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita. Please prepare zazen. Dharma school kids and teachers, please meet in the front room. At the sound of the clappers, the first and third rows will turn to the right, the second and back rows will turn to the left. At the next sound of the clappers, we'll begin walking at a slow pace with 1/2 step for each cycle of the breath. And at the next sound of the clappers, we'll walk at a regular pace. We'll now recite the Sangha Covenant, which is found at the top of page 8 of your stapled liturgy book. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for this morning's talk. Sit comfortably and face towards our teacher. In a moment, we will be doing the Gatha on opening the sutra, also found on page 8. Gatha on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
So good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Thank you, Hoshi. He did some magic to this thing. So thank you all for being here on such a beautiful day. A day where I hope we can all step out later and get our feet on the earth. And that's a large part of our practice, feet on the earth, embodied experience. And I don't know if it's the turn towards spring, the natural world springing into life, but I feel that energy in my body. And during COVID, Roshi did a number of workshops on body practice, specifically Qigong and Neigong, working with energy directly in the body, which is what we do in Zazen, right? We work with the body directly, not through the cognitive mind. And that had a huge impact on my practice in ways that I didn't even know my practice was closed. So I thought perhaps I would just offer a few words on that this morning from my experience and see if it resonates, if it helps your practice in any way. And of course, this is a thread you'll see throughout all the Buddhist texts, embodiment. Maybe we see it so often that sometimes we're a little bit blind to it. But in our reading this morning, specifically addressed, if you want to know the undying person in the hut, don't separate from this skin bag here and now. So the Buddha practiced in his body, and we practice in ours. In the Abhidharma, which are the psychological teachings of Buddhism, we're told the body is the soil in which understanding grows. This body, the soil in which understanding grows. And in the Satipatthana Sutta, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the first foundation is mindfulness of the body. A meditator remains focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful, putting aside greed and distress with reference to the world. So we remain focused on the body in and of itself. In the ancient meditation text, there's also reference to touching enlightenment. It's not understanding enlightenment, it's touching enlightenment. So the implication being that we can touch enlightenment with this body, this aging, frail, uncooperative body, and actually it's the only way we can do it. It's the only way we can do it. When I first came to Buddhism, I practiced in the Vipassana tradition, and that 4 Foundations of Mindfulness is like a seminal text in that tradition. And I was exposed to it for a couple of years, and I had no problem with it. It made perfect sense, embodied practice. And yet, I didn't feel it in my bones. I didn't really experience what that was. And the reason being because I didn't trust my body. Could it really be this simple, And I have a lot of karma surrounding that. I grew up in a country and a tradition where the body was not just not trusted, there was a lot of shame surrounding the body. Mary Oliver says, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting." But if you were a woman growing up in Ireland in the 60s and 70s, that's exactly the psychological message you were getting. No, your body is shameful, your body is sinful, and you do not trust it. You trust dogma, you trust what you're told. And I think things have improved radically. In Ireland, it is now the land of yoga studios and meditation centers. And that's driven by women, overwhelmingly women, because finally society changed enough where women's voice could be heard, and they said, we're just tired of that crap. But even in our modern society, where we can't really relate to that sinfulness of the body is really seen as an object of our ego agendas, right? Being thinner, being stronger, being a better meditator, sitting up straighter. There's never really an understanding that the body has wisdom in and of itself, that perhaps the body might be more intelligent than me, than this I construct. And in my experience, generally what happens is one of the divine messengers that visited the Buddha, illness, old age, impending death, visits us in a very personal way, and we are pulled back into our bodies. And that can be through injury, fatigue, emotional distress, anxiety, anguish, dread, that we don't know, we don't understand it, and we don't know how to handle it. And sometimes kicking and screaming, we are just dragged back into this body because nothing else is working. And of course the body it's not an object. out there in the world, right? It's a process, it's a flow, without any intention on my part. My heart beats, blood flows to my organs and tissues, my lungs expand and contract. My sense organs receive stimulation, there's electrical and chemical reactions in my brain, and thoughts arise, emotions arise, experience arise. A world is created. So the flow of life expresses itself in this body that I think I control, that I really don't know, that I don't understand, but I'm so sure that I am in charge here. But actually, the body is just a vehicle for life's flow, and life is way more in charge of this process than I am. So I didn't choose this body. I didn't design it. It simply appeared, and then I began to inhabit it. But can I say that I'm something other than this body? What am I without this body? And I can think of myself as other than the body. I'm very good at doing that. The sense of self that I take for granted, although I cannot define what it is, and I cannot confirm it. The cushions you're sitting on right now, there are thousands of hours of meditation clocked on those cushions. And can anyone who sat on those cushions actually say that they have direct experience of a solid, substantial, non-changing self, of a solid identity? Well, that's, of course, for each of you to answer that question as you sit on the cushions. And fundamentally, we're so invested in maintaining this sense of self that we really don't relate to anything in a direct way. But the fact is that the fullness of your human experience is right here. It's not in your cognitive ego, it's right here in this body. And of course, meditation is entirely somatic. We even relate to thoughts as somatic. You know, in beginning instruction, we say just energies that arise in the mind. That arise in the body, mind. And so in meditation, we enter into full communion, full contact with our direct experience. And when we don't, when we enter meditation as a conceptual exercise, perhaps in service of some egoic agenda, some project, which might be a very worthy project, what we're doing is we're attempting to actually control our experience. We're using meditation to actually perpetuate our separation from the body. This is what Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche calls spiritual materialism, using spiritual practice as a way to actually cut ourselves off from our lives in service of my sense of I. Which is understandable. You know, who doesn't crave comfort and security and certainty? But of course, as you find on the cushion, it's all groundless. And as much as you fight it, you will suffer. So we come back to the body as our teacher. And we learn the language of the body itself. And perhaps we get an inkling that the conscious mind is more appropriately a servant of the body than the other way around. So what happens when we actually reject our direct experience, which we do all the time? I know I do. The body is a completely non-judgmental receiver of experience. You like a circumstance, you don't like a circumstance, you don't care about a circumstance, totally irrelevant to the body. The body just receives whatever arises. But because of our investment in maintaining this idea of me, I reject an awful lot of what the body receives. An experience comes up on a somatic level, and I say, no, I don't want that. Or I say, well, I want this part of it, but I don't want that part of it. And we actually don't connect directly with what's arising. We block out the wisdom of the body, when it is inconsistent with who we think we are. And it is frequently inconsistent with who we think we are. And this is exhausting. What happens to all that rejected experience we hold in the body? Well, the psychologists here can speak more eloquently to that than I can. All I can say from my own experience is that it's exhausting. This takes a lot of energy, and it's often completely subconscious. Somebody has likened it to going to a party, and there's one person that you want to avoid at all costs. And you move around the party, you think you're fulfilling all of your party objectives, and actually your entire experience of that party is wound around avoiding that person. And you don't even know it. So that's a lot of energy you're expending subconsciously. And then you feel, there was something not quite right about that party. I didn't really enjoy it the way I thought I would. So, and sometimes that walled off somatic experience is spoken of as our unlived life. But it's right here. It's right here. You actually have everything you need right here in this body. So how do we practice somatically? Well, that's what we do, right? Meditation is an entirely non-conceptual, experiential process. And I spoke of the body before, and the body practice that Roshi teaches, specifically Qigong, Nigong here, where we work directly with the energy of the body. We're doing the same thing, working with the energy, with what's arising in a completely non-conceptual, direct way. And slowly, I found, in doing this practice, we shift from experiencing consciousness in our cognitive mind in the service of me to direct experience. And it sounds, that maybe it's easy, but actually not so much. When we breathe directly into our body, sometimes we feel blockages, numbness, places where the energy is not flowing. Very much so in Neigong, which Roshi teaches. And that's a really weird thing, to actually come to a part of your body where you feel nothing. I know some of you here have experienced that. And it can actually take a long time working with that. You go through your body, there's that area of numbness. It can take a long time to actually feel life flowing through that. But we stick with the process, just like we do in our Zazen. Another thing we might discover is that the body has its own agenda. Roshi used to teach classes here on a Thursday night, and I would come directly from work, and I worked at a desk. My shoulders would be killing me, and I would think, oh, this is so great. My shoulders and my neck are going to feel so great. And I would start practicing, and what was arising was the soles of my feet. My body had an experience that I needed to listen to. And of course, it can turn up in a somatic way, very personally. People who are out of touch emotionally might feel very frozen in the heart area. People who have difficulty expressing themselves might feel tension in their neck. I did a chakra workshop with Kyeong, our yoga teacher, years ago. And when it came to the throat chakra, and I do have a little problem with expressing myself in words, I could not believe the tension that was actually there, that consciously I wasn't in touch with it at all. So we work with the body. And the path to enlightenment is allowing the unconscious to come into our awareness, allowing awareness to integrate that. And we do that in the body. We don't do that with a conscious ego. And of course, this is cosmic work, right? This isn't just the body. If we separate ourselves from the natural world, from the cosmos, we separate ourselves from our body. And if we separate ourselves from our body, we separate ourselves from the natural world. And we can see that if we look at the Buddha's enlightenment story, which is the essence of being somatic. Of course, there's a koan about that. Shakyamuni touches the earth. As Shakyamuni meditated beneath the Bodhi tree, Mara pointed to the place where he sat and demanded, "Who witnesses your right to the seat of enlightenment? Your right to the seat of enlightenment." Shakyamuni reached a finger down to touch the ground. "I call the earth as my witness," he replied. So there in Bodhaya, as it was later known, the place of enlightenment, in this wooded glade, by this stream, under this tree, seated on the earth, embodied experience. And it said that he sat there, but it was when the morning star Venus came into his vision that he had this enlightenment experience. But of course, it wasn't the Buddha seeing the star and going, "Oh yeah, I got it." It was the star walked in. The star sat under that tree on the earth in that place, in that wooded glade of Bodhaya. The star realized itself. And this is the work of the body. And also in that enlightenment story, it said that the Buddha sat for many days, and he was on the edge of despair when he remembered an experience from his childhood where he sat on a hill overlooking a festival, and he just dropped effortlessly into his body, into his breath, just being aware, touching enlightenment. I think probably very many of us can relate to that, perhaps experiences we had in childhood before the reification of ego becomes so strong. And I know some of us have had experiences later where all of those barriers just drop. It's no impetus from the conscious mind that makes that happen. It's a moment of complete cosmic connection. And of course, that's what we do in Zazen. We simply sit, we drop into our body, we drop into our breath. Stay with the experience of the body as it's immediately felt. A monk once asked Joshu, the great Zen master, what meditation is. "It's non-meditation," he answered. "How can meditation be non-meditation?" the monk asked. "It's alive," was Joshu's response. So the question for us is our Zazen alive? Is our Kinnan, our walking meditation, alive? Are our lives alive? And only each one of us can answer that question. So in meditation, we pay direct attention to the body, and in these body practices, that's also what we do. I know there were rumors that Roshi was going to teach a workshop sometime this year, and if that occurs, I would really encourage you to come put your feet on the floor of this zendo in these woods, in this city, and really experience your body. Mary Oliver, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Do we have the Dharma kids coming in now? In a moment, we'll do the Bodhisattva vows, and we'll do the sung version today, also found on page 8 of your liturgy book. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. Yes, I do. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. Woo! I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. Yes, I do. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. Woo! I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. One more time. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. Yes, I do. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. Woo! I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our service for today. I'm sure there are some announcements. I'll make one quick announcement, just a reminder that if you have Oryoki bowls over on the far walls, please be sure to take your Oryoki bowls home today. And other announcements.
Yes, Sensei has given the clergy a new assignment, which is halfway through the meal, we will ring a mindfulness bell. This is a bell to remind you that you should help clean afterwards, right? There's a great Zen story. Have you had your midday meal? Yes, okay, wash your bowl. And so if you hear that bell, right, that means please make sure that you participate in that. And if you hear the wake-up bell, a ding-a-ling-a-ling-ling, that means we're getting close to the end of cleanup time, and we really need extra hands in the kitchen to give it that final go. So please help us, Bodhisattvas. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jakai, and it may seem really early for this announcement, but if you're on Facebook or you're seeing other communications, you might have seen a communication that in April there's something coming up that is an ethics conversation on a Sunday afternoon. And I just want to put a word out for it and say, try to hold that place on your calendar. A lot of people like, oh, of all the things I would want to, like, it's like just torture. But the conversation is really a conversation that we have with ourselves about how to keep our Sangha safe and how to have a safe community and how to build relationships within the community. And it's a really important conversation for all of us to be a part of. So I hope that you'll plan to join us for that.
Hi, my name is Kensei. Related to what Sacho was discussing with our lovely Sunday meals, next Saturday, the Sentient Beans, which is a group of folks who actually make all this pasta and sauce and all this beautiful food. We are having our monthly pasta-thon. And we make a tremendous amount of pasta and sauce for the month. And our Tenzo does some teaching. Doan comes and does some teachings for us. And we have lunch together. And if you're not in the Sentient Beans group, now's a great time to join. You can come to Pasta-thon. And if you're interested in any other sort of bodhisattvas in action around the temple, please come see me. We have groups who are doing cleaning and tending the building and doing maintenance and preparing the food, and I would love to help you get connected with any of those practices. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Please restore the Zendo.